You're tuned in to Repco Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Repco, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Rislone. And today, it's a celebration of all things American automotive. We're popping the hood on an incredible Chevy Bel Air and catching up with the organiser of the ever-popular Americarna Festival. But first up, thanks to our mates at the Mount Shop, we're heading down to Christchurch to meet Aaron Grieve and check out a jaw-dropper 6 years in the making, his 37 Hudson terraplane. There's not many Hudsons on the road to begin with, but with Aaron's modifications, this terraplane really is one in a million. With distinctive paintwork, it's truly a rolling work of art. Its beauty is more than skin deep too. The coupe has been chopped and dropped to transform it into something not seen every day on New Zealand roads, a tail dragger.
When I was planning on building a tail dragger, I didn't really have a set brand of car that I was after. I was just basically browsing around on Trade Me, seen the Hudson body, thought that'll do, well let's get into it. Purchased the Hudson from a guy up in Morrinsville. It was basically just the bare body. We were missing basically front guards and bonnet and running boards, and chassis was just a bare, nothing else on the chassis, literally stripped right back. Brought it home, sandblasted it, figured out it was pretty rusted out. Didn't bother us because we had full intentions of pretty much replacing most of the panel work anyway. I would class as people probably think the terraplane is the ugly duckling. It's an oddball character. It's definitely not to everyone's taste. It's built for me, so I like it. The fact that it is not a Chevy or a Ford, I like to be a little bit different. So I thought, well, Hudson, as soon as I seen it, I thought, well, Hudson would be a perfect build for what I was planning to do.
To get the terraplane where he wanted it involved calling an infamous rat rodder to bend, shape and fabricate something totally bespoke to bring Aaron's unique vision to life.
David Jeffries is the guy I used to do a lot of the major panel work. You can think outside that square and come up with some pretty cool ideas. We basically chopped the roof down at the front, chopped it at the back, pulled it backwards, sloped the rear of the roof down a little bit, and then filled the centre section of it. We haven't gone drastically, like really low, because I had plans to always be a four-seater. He's done lots of modifications, new firewall, right through everything, right from the front, right through to the back. We got the tail so low in the back by doing a fairly steep C-notch into the chassis. We haven't channeled the body at all to lower it to the ground, so it's original height on the chassis. Everything is basically just in the trickery of the chassis being manipulated to get as low as it could possibly go.
Once the bodywork was in place, it was time to call on the extraordinary talents of Rob Duff from Radical Refinishing.
Robert Duff is a very talented man in the airbrushing side of things, and when we had plans on my paint scheme that I sort of envisioned with it, he was basically the only person I thought would be able to pull it off. He pretty much came over, had a look, and knew exactly what I was sort of thinking of. It's very hard to put it onto paper and tell a paint person what you're sort of thinking in your head with a theme like this. So there was a lot of trust involved, and it was pretty much he just jumped in and designed it all. As soon as I could come out of that spray booth and seeing what he'd done, it was just like it was just perfect. Yeah, exactly what we wanted.
And after 600 painstaking hours pinstriping and lacing, with countless clear coats over intricate layered details, the results feel like they'd be equally at home in a garage or a gallery. It might be a coupe, but Aaron was determined to make sure that his family could enjoy the ride too. But finding seats that would fit the setup wasn't easy.
Back seats was a must for it. Quite hard to track down. So I ended up finding some that were literally, we're talking millimetres to fit in it. We had to reshape the top of them because they would poke out through the back windows. Like, there was absolutely no point building a tail dragging coupe unless all four of my family can come and work with me. I've got to have the wife and the two daughters in the back. I don't think I would have had the coupe if I didn't have 4 seats. I'm pretty sure it would have not got to this point. They've helped me with it as well. It's nice to have them involved and be able to get out and do things. You've got to be able to enjoy your hot rod with your people you want to enjoy it with.
And pulling together the terraplane was a family affair too, as Aaron enlisted plenty of help from his dad during the course of the build.
My relationship with my dad over the cars has been, like over the last 10 years, really strong. It's been a real good form of us just to get together and potter and tinker away in the shed. He's always been pretty handy with cars.
I used to just get Model A's and old cars and pull them apart, and then my wife would get really annoyed that I didn't put them back together again.
So on this car, he helped me pretty much with 99% of it. He absolutely hated sanding the body for days on end. He probably didn't necessarily agree with the theme of what I was planning to do, but overall he's assembled it. He's been there right from the get-go, lifting the body, even driving up north and picking the body up from the farm we found it on.
Extremely proud of my son, extremely proud. He's put a lot of work into it, a lot of time, and he's a very clever boy.
I'm very happy with how it's turned out. I've enjoyed the process of building it. I would do it again, which 6 years of my life is a long time. It's not full-time building it, it's just hobby. But I suppose saying that I enjoyed it and would do it again must mean it's definitely what I wanted. What I pictured in my head is actually there. It's actually looking exactly what I thought it would have been 6 years ago when I was sort of thinking, I wonder if I could build something like that.
Now, thanks to Maguire's, we're stopping off in New Plymouth to find out a bit more about the hugely popular Americarna Festival. Every year, it's one of the biggest automotive events in the calendar and recently celebrated its 10th anniversary before being put on hold for COVID. And since its inception, the man at the helm has been Taranaki local and passionate classic car enthusiast, John Ray. A lead-foot at heart with plenty of track time to his name. John's also been an obsessive collector of American vehicles and paraphernalia for many years. And his home, complete with a themed showroom, is an impressive testament to his avid devotion to the specific genre of American automotive history, a passion that's been with him all his life.
Grew up as a teenager, going to the movies, Vanishing Point, Bullet, and we got to see all those pretty cool muscle cars of the era. So I guess that's where the interest in the cars came from. The hot rodding sort of became a secondary passion to the muscle cars. Am I obsessed with cars? To a degree. We don't even drive the cars anywhere near as much as we should. I get more pleasure out of looking at them. Hence the reason why the showroom at home's got a complete glass front. So, apart from daylight savings, when I go to work, I can see them. When I come home, I can look at them. To me, they're pieces of art. There is literally tens of thousands of American-themed vehicles in this country. So I'm not alone as to why do we want to own these American cars.
John's passion has helped fuel an event with a truly unique feel. Every year, seemingly everyone in the community, young and old, get on the Americarna bandwagon. This is a feel-good family event with big crowds gathering and waving as hundreds of cars go by. So what was the vision for this iconic event in the first place? And why does it connect so powerfully with the community?
Clearly we wanted to promote the American culture and the vehicles. So we didn't want Valiants and Falcons and Holdens and whatever else there. So we chose to run the very first Americarna with anything American or American themed. And why it works, you have to come and do an event to experience it. It's just a magic event that the community come out and support in their droves. It's young and old because you've got the elderly people. It brings back a lot of fond memories of the early days. And then the young, they just love the look, the sound. And then people my era, and younger than myself, of course, the history of seeing those movies and the reasons that attract you to want to own those cars. It's an event that the community embraces now. I mean, you'll see young kids see an American car drive down the road. They don't go, that's an American car. They go, that's an Americana car.
Obviously, anything American is the general rule of thumb. But what specific types of vehicles are turning up and turning heads?
We've had, last year we had a pretty good range of hot rods. So, a T-Bucket, and a 32, and a 33, and a 34, and then coupes, and then right through your Tri-5 Chevys, heavily modified, a ton of 60s Impalas and Galaxies, and the Camaros. It's anything American and American themed. Full stop, period. If you turn up with a brand new 2020 TRX Dodge Ram, I don't care. It's American, and it will appeal to someone.
John also applies similar rules when it comes to his own impressive collection. And another theme that comes through strongly is his passion for preserving these amazing time capsules for future generations.
Well, look, the 33 I've got, I love that car to bits. I love the story about behind the car. I like the work we've done to it. It's a neat car to drive. It's cool, it gets lots of looks. It's not about the looks, but it is nice when other people appreciate something you're driving because it's a little different. We were fortunate last year at the pre-49s in Christchurch for that car to make it into the top 10 pick was nice. I like getting the Demon out from time to time.
The event's well over 10 years old now, and John's been intimately involved in running it the whole time. So how long will it continue to run? How big will it get? And will he stay and continue to enjoy the ride?
I guess when you see the excitement when you go past the first school or the first rest home or the first lot of people out on the street waiting to see the cars and enjoy the spectacle, that gives me a buzz year in, year out. I'm not getting any younger. I don't see myself stopping doing it. I still enjoy so much of making the event happen. I'm not going to go Americarna 2023, that's my last event. That's not the case. Well, it's kind of evolved from the very first event. You know, like the numbers have grown. I don't want 1,000 cars at the event. The influx of American vehicles coming into the country, you talk to all the shops building cars, they are flat out, and they have been for 2 years. So that's been great for the whole car economy as well. I know here in Taranaki, leading up to Americarna, the specialist brake shops and service shops and paint shops and upholsterers that do a lot of American stuff, they are extremely busy. We need to keep the bug alive for the hot rods and the 50s and 60s and earlier cars. They're getting harder and harder to find and in worse shape. So keeping that old tin still on the road, whether it be original or hot rodded or slightly modified, is critical.
Protection of hybrid ceramic.
Whoa.
Now in 3 easy-to-use products. In original spray wax, now as a liquid wax, and a spray detailer. Meguiar's hybrid ceramic family with advanced SiO2 technology. Meguiar's, ceramic made easy.
Rizlone has been in engines almost as long as engines have been in cars. Why? Because from then until now, there's never been a perfectly clean fuel. This means every time you fill up, you're adding pollutants and contaminants to your fuel system. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner can cure those woes and help save your engine. Rizlone Fuel Injector Cleaner adds an upper cylinder lubricant, providing double the cleaning power out of the same bottle. We know something about aging well, so when we say it's your engine's fountain of youth under a screw top, you can count on it. Rizlone is the original engine tune-up. Available at participating stores near you.
Welcome back to Repco Muscle Garage. Next up, with a little help from Rizlone, we're now heading to Auckland for another vehicle from the US of A. And it doesn't get more American than a 56 Chevy Bel Air. And with a massive GM Performance ZZ502 crate engine, a low-as-it-can-go stance and distinctive beautifully rendered two-tone flame paintwork, Sean Williams' 56 really is more rock and roll than most. But as impressive as it looks now, it wasn't a straightforward process to get this car where Sean wanted it to be. In fact, the 56 was a 30-year odyssey that involved multiple rebuilds as the car's slowly but surely taken shape alongside 3 generations of the Williams family. It's a truly beautiful machine, but when this epic journey first began, the car was anything but.
The car came from Waiheke Island, and I'm pretty sure I saw it on Trade Me. It didn't have a photo of it, it only had a description. It sounds like it's a little bit of work, but we'll go and have a look and see what it's like. So we ended up going over there, and yeah, it was a bit of a basket case. It was in a barn, had no doors on it, no guards on it, no windscreen, it wasn't bolted to the chassis, it had no engine, no gearbox, no diff. I just liked the look of the car because it was a four-door pillarless. I'm a mechanic by trade, so I thought, well, everything underneath, like that's not going to be an issue, like gearbox, motor, that's not going to be an issue for me. The panel work side of it and the bodywork side of it did frighten me a wee bit. So we just decided, well, okay, we'll just give it a go. It's just going to take a little bit of time, yeah. But I didn't think it would take that long.
And so the first of several phases of revamping and modding taking over 3 decades began. A 9-inch diff went in the rear with a 427 big block and turbo 350 slotted in up front. Meanwhile, Sean, who back then had a young family and limited funds, tried to do as much work as he could himself. But unfortunately, this first iteration didn't quite go according to plan.
It wasn't too much of an issue for me to get all the running gear going. It was just getting that body off onto a rotisserie and just start getting like the panels to fit properly. I couldn't buy anything because I didn't have any money, so we had to work with what we had. There was a couple of patch panels that we did put in, which was just going to be a major to try and fabricate. Yeah, sheet metal to go into the doors. It was just a huge job. Like, yeah, I think we went through 3 panel beaters. Yeah, and then build it to a point where it's, you know, going for certification. It's painted. You know, we've had 4 children. Get it on the road. Perfect. Then within 2 years, the car started pickling. The paint wasn't prepared properly. Strip it down, take it back to the bare metal again, do some more repairs on it that weren't quite right in that first instance. Got it to a point where the car was ready for paint, but this time I wanted to repaint it with flames. So I engaged Daryl McKenzie in the South Island, who was renowned for doing flames. He came back with several concepts, this being one of them. It was Kerry Brokers that painted it the second time. He did an amazing job, like absolutely amazing job. It was just done properly that second time. And then we flew Daryl McKenzie up and he did the flames, and that has been like that for about 22 years. We got to a point where the car was good, and I met Ange. She just thought we could change the car a wee bit and make it look a little bit better. So we put air ride in the car. So we bought a kit from Air Ride Technologies in the States. Ange said, those wheels have got to go. We're going to put new wheels on it. So I said, well, I want to put 20s on it. And then just went from there. And then drove that for years like that, you know, like huge amount of years.
By this stage, the Chevy had become much more than a labour of love for Sean. It had actually become a much loved part of the family. His children had grown up with this passion project and become just as involved in its development as Sean was. And Sean's wife Ange was an equal contributor as the next version of the 56 took shape and reimagined to be even more family friendly, with a fair bit of help from Dan at Rocket Speed Equipment, who had some pretty strong opinions about what should come next.
It got to a point where we've now got grandkids. Yeah, it's time to make it a little bit more reliable. Brakes weren't great, steering was starting to get sloppy because of the age of it. Rang Dan from Rocket, you know, he does fantastic work. I said I want to go a little bit lower. Yeah, he just went about doing what he does. It wasn't until one of the boys pointed out in one of the photos, they saw that he'd seemed to notch the chassis, that I thought, oh my God, right, he has, so it's gonna go low then. I just rang him and said, mate, what are we doing? He says, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. So don't be a pussy, this is happening. I don't think I've seen a 56 as low as this one. It's probably the lowest 56 in the country. I think any car looks good low. Like Dan said, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it properly. But he just went about getting it as low as it could possibly go. Get it sitting on its rails.
There's plenty of reasons why this is a special car, but unquestionably, the most important is the way it's truly become essentially another member of the Williams family and been an integral part of many, many memories.
The kids and the family love the car so much is because they were brought up with the car. As they got older and they started coming on the rod runs and they were just involved in the whole hot rod scene, they just loved it. Going away with the kids and travelling with the kids in the car It was just, to me, it's just a nice family-orientated sport, and they love it too, and they still love it. They all love the car, they all drive the car, and that's what it was there for. Oh, we were taking the grandchild out the other day in the car, and he said to me, "Granddad, I'm going to drive the Repco one day." And I just thought, he's just about to turn 3. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding. And I said to him, "You probably will, mate. You probably will."
There's another aspect to the build worth mentioning that's not quite so family-oriented though, because the 56 has become pretty infamous for its burnouts, which has seen Sean raise more than a few eyebrows in recent years.
The car is renowned a little bit for the rear wheels cutting loose a wee bit every now and then. Always wanted the car to be able to do that. That was a real key for me. I think that's putting the big block in it to give it that torque and everything else to. But when it finally, or when it actually did, it was just like, wow, this thing can actually do a really good skid if it needs to. And then now that Dan's done a little bit of work to it and put that 4-link in the back, this car hooks up like you would not believe. Yes, I've been told a few times to vacate the premises because that's unacceptable behaviour and it will not be tolerated, and do not be coming back if you think that you're going to be doing that again. I'm not there to upset anyone, but I do like to skid it. It does a really good skid.
So, far from being a trailer queen, Sean Williams' Bel Air is much driven and much loved by the Williams clan. It's raked up a lot of miles and a lot of great moments with the whole family on board for the ride. And it's sure to stay that way as he slowly but surely passes the torch on to the next generation.
Doesn't just sit in the garage. There's no way does it just sit in the garage. Not a fan of that. The car needs to be used. Yeah, and it's done multiple trips to the South Island. It's gone all over the North Island. Yeah, it's skidded everywhere. Oh, 100% that car is part of the family. Like, I've threatened to sell it just to wind them up. But yeah, there's no way this car's going anywhere because it was all about the family. You know, it was a car, it had 4 doors, we could get the kids in it. 100% worth it to see them smiling in the back of it. Yeah, so that to me is just priceless, you know, absolutely priceless. All the work and all the money and everything and, you know, the grinding away at it, that's just, yeah, it's a treasure.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for more of the meanest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines on Repco Muscle Garage. Feel like your car could do with some TLC? No worries, we've got every base covered because we could be hooking you up with an incredible prize pack thanks to our sponsors. For a start, there's this massive Maguire's and Rislone complete car care pack valued at over $760. We've also thrown in this handy 85-piece Repco toolkit valued at $672. To stay on top of everything underneath, there's a $500 mount shop voucher. And last but not least, you'll also score a year's subscription to NZV8 magazine. That's a total prize pool of nearly $2,000. To enter, just head over to themotorhood.com and hit the Repco Muscle Garage link on the homepage. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series, so make sure you get amongst because this prize pack is one major haul. Good luck. Repco Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Repco. It starts with the parts. Mount Shop Undercar Specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Rislone, high-performance additives for high-performance vehicles.